Hi guys, it's now been a week since I pulled all the potatoes out of the garden. Today I'm going to be pressure canning them, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a video on how I'm going to do that for you guys today. So I'm just going to show you where I'm at now because I have started and I've had to wait for children and people to participate and do their things so that there's not a lot of noise around. So I'm just going to show you where I'm at. I'm just basically got my potatoes soaking here at the minute. I'm going to give them a scrub up and a rinse, and then I'm going to use my great little tool here. It's got a potato peel part to it, so it doesn't take very long to peel my potatoes. So they'll go here and I'll peel them all here, and then while I'm waiting to put them into the pressure canner, I am going to have them just sit in some water. I've already got some little bubby ones in here. It's only plain water. I find that that's just as good to keep them from drying out. So I'm going to do a couple of different ones. I'm going to do some smaller ones. I'm going to do some bit bigger ones. And then I'm going to also try and do some chip ones as well. So I'm going to just take some video footage just as I go along with a few little quick instructions, but it's not a tutorial on how to actually pressure can. There's a lot of people out there that have done that. I'm not doing that at this moment, but I will tell you I'm going to raw pack mine. I've done some research into it, and basically raw packing, you get a better quality of potato. They don't become overcooked and mushy. So we're just going to get on with this and get it done today.
I walk to you so I can be close to you. It's really simple if you look at it that way. Time that we get by with money we don't know. Pockets empty but hearts are full anyway. Hey. Playing like children and love like orange. You were too good for me, but I wanted you anyway. I always loved you over my head, even when you lived alone to make your parents mad. Say goodbye to your old life, turn the page, fall on my bed. I don't care if loving you.
So the potatoes are all peeled and sitting in water here at the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer from that bucket to another bucket of water, and then I'm going to work through them back into the white bucket, checking them all, taking up any more bits of peel that I want to take off them, checking them for any blemishes, making sure that they're nice and firm. As I've gone through the first lot of potatoes, it's hard when they're covered in dirt so you can't see. So like, you know, the green bits, you can use them, but because I'm canning them I don't really want to. The squishiness, icky bits, you know, you can't see that under dirt. So that is so far what I've removed in the way of icky potatoes. So now I'm just gonna transfer them all from in here into some fresh water, and then I'm going to work my way back through and check them all, and then I'm going to get all my jars and my canner sorted out. So you can see there's this brown bits already in there. You know, it's not worth trying to cut that out, so he'll go into the jar bucket. So that's where I'm at, and I will show you how I'm going to can these up.
It's everywhere. You take a picture of us kissing in cars. It makes my day 10 times better. Yeah. Playing like children and love like orange. You were too good for me, but I wanted you anyway. I always loved you over my head, man. Say goodbye to your old life, turn the page, follow my breath.
Still nice and white, and that's just sitting in water, nothing else. I don't add anything else to it. So I'm just getting my jars ready here. These were washed before I stored them, but I'm just making sure that they're nice and clean. Just with a bit of hot soapy water. So just make sure you get right in around that rib, because that's where your seal's going to sit. And then I usually just hold them up to the light, look in the bottom, see if there's any cracks. Feel around the top, make sure there's no cracks. Any of that kind of thing will, your jar will pretty much just break in the process, whether you're pressure canning or water bathing. I am gold packing, so or raw packing, whichever one you call it. So I don't need to have my jars hot, but I do need to have them clean. Lids and rings and clips. Rings, non-negotiable, brand new ones every time. They're cheap enough, and the chances of breaking the seal not working because you've used the second one that you've used more than once, it's not worth it. So I've got my size 3s here for my 27s. When it comes to lids, there's 2 types, and yes, I have both types here. So you have one, I'm not sure how well you'll see it in this light, but it's got a slight orangish, yellowish, it's not orange, yellowy colour to it. These are technically one-time use lids only, but I have, and I know people who do reuse these lids, provided there is, these are brand new ones, provided there is no rust or discoloration and you haven't bent the lid when you've removed it, when you remove them off the jars. They are the cheaper ones to get. Now the other ones are the stainless steel ones. So that's the stainless steel one. You'll probably be able to see, if I put them together, there is a difference in colour. Alright, now the stainless steel ones are multiple use lids. They are a lot more expensive, but if you're doing a lot of canning and you want to save some dollars, that is probably the way to go. This last lot, I accidentally bought the stainless steel ones, so I now have both. So today I'm going to use the stainless steel ones, I think, in the pressure canner. Now, when you get these brand new out of the packet, you'll feel that there's like an oil on them. Basically, that's what they use to make sure that they transport and don't get rusty or anything like that. So give them a wash in hot soapy water as well. The rings, I usually put them in a pot of hot water, let them soak in there. It just makes it easier to put them on the actual jars themselves. So yeah, so we'll get to it. So I've been thinking about how many potatoes will actually fit in a jar and how much for, let's say if you're making potato salad, how many jars you would need and how far it would go. I'm just going to fill this jar up. Runaway potato. And we're going to pack them in pretty tight. So that would be about where we'd get to, about an inch or on the neck band into this. So I have a medium sized bowl. And which would make probably by the time you add all your other ingredients to it, you would probably make a salad, a potato salad that would probably serve 4 or 5 people. You know, if you're having sort of handful per person. So it's not too bad. You know, if you're making one for potato salad for a large group of people, you'd want to use 2, 3, 4 jars. So I've just got my kettle boiling over here to put some hot water into my rings to soften them up. Yes, 5 litres of water to my pressure canner. I have it written on my book so I don't forget. I'm adding cold tap water because I'm cold packing. So we're just going to put our rings onto our jars. It becomes a bit of an art when you learn how to do it. I just put mine on and then I just flick them down, untwist them as I go around. And then just double check that they are up all the same way around. That one took off in a hurry. So these smaller potatoes I had 7.5 kilos. Probably lost about 1 kilo worth of bits and pieces by the time I cleaned them all up. But that's what happens. So I'm just going to fill these up. I've got pokey stick around here somewhere. There it is. My little bee bubbler stick with a magnet on the end to pick up hot lids, but we don't need that today. So we're just going to pack these in. Now, because I'm cold packed, raw packing, whichever you want to call it, I'm just putting straight cold water into these bottles. Now, I'm not adding salt. A lot of people add salt. I think we add salt because we think that it's a preserver, which it is, but I don't see that it's a necessity to put it into every single thing that we do. If you want to add salt, 1 teaspoon per one of these equivalent to quart-size jars, which are your 20.
Even when you lived alone to make your parents mad, say goodbye to your old life, turn the page, roll on my bed. I don't care if loving you over my head.
You need probably about an inch headspace on these jars, which is equivalent to just under where the seal goes, so somewhere about here, once you've filled it up with your fluids. So I'll keep my potatoes a little bit lower than that so that they're below the water line. They can go brown on the top when they're not covered in water. So this just helps getting any air bubbles out between your potatoes or whatever you've got in there. So you see the water level's dropped down to here, and I want it up about halfway. So let's add some more.
Turn the page, follow my mind. I don't care if loving you.
Clean the rings. Basically, I've just got you can use paper towel, clean, damp cloth. You can use vinegar. I'm only doing potatoes, so it's nothing sticky. It's just making sure that there's no bits of potato or anything else around the rings. So just give them a good wipe. Lid, clip to lid on, so it's straight. Clips putting on however you're comfortable. This is how I do it, pull it straight across. And then check that the lid is sitting on the jar straight. If the lid is not sitting on the jar straight, it will not seal correctly. This one again, you see this side is slightly lower than this side. It may seal, but you don't want to take that chance.
Over my head.
I've seen a few people ask, can you stack jars in Vacola water bathing and the pressure cannon? Pressure canners, normal jars you can. The twist top ball mason jars, those kind of jars, you can stack them with another trivet, which this canner, being a large canner, I can't remember how big it is. But Vacola jars, you cannot. Basically, due to the clips on the top, if you try to stack on top of those, it will put the wrong pressure on the clips and the jars will not seal. So do not do that with the Vacola jars. But in saying that, Vacola jars are quite tall jars. This is, I think, the second biggest canner you can actually get, and I'm only hand's width from the top, so there's no way I'm going to be able to double stack anyway. So alright, so I've got my water in there, I've got a bit of vinegar in there. Now this particular model is a stainless steel seal on it, so I'm going to have to put a little bit of oil around here to help with the seal. Then I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to put the heat on. This is just olive oil. You can use whatever type of oil you want to use. Just rub it around the edge. Just helps with the seal. Get it around the right way. Alright. I'm just going to twist my lid into position. It's got several different safety mechanisms. This one has, you can see them here, but it has little lugs that sit underneath here. So that's one particular cork that will stop from the lid coming off. Then it has the little side lugs. Follow your directions on how to actually use each of your canners. And then on the top here, it's also got a release valve. So if over pressures, I think it's over 20 pounds, it will actually release this and release the pressure. So the chances of it actually exploding are very little. This is the third time I've used this, and every time I've using it, it actually is getting easier and easier. Doing a quick check that it looks pretty level on the lid. Tighten them down. Place the can where you're going to use it on the heat, because you do not want to move it once it's going. So we got the gas happening down here. So basically now I'm going to bring it up to temperature and wait for a steady stream of air venting. I have to vent it for 10 minutes. Then I'll put my weight on, and when it reaches the 10 pounds minimum pressure, mine usually sits around the 12 to 13 because of the jets that I have on my stove. And then I'll process it for 40 minutes. So 20 minutes later, I watched pot, never boils. Still waiting for it. It's not probably the thing you can see too well on camera, but I did notice on my wall, I can see the shadow of it. But it is. You can hear it as well. So now I'm going to put a timer on for 10 minutes and let that vent. So it's been venting for 10 minutes now, and because of my altitude I'm going to do 10 pounds, which is right here. Now, you need to be careful. It is a hot stream of steam. Kind of freaks me out a little bit. Put that on there. Got it on the right one. Yep. And you'll see the pressure coming up. When it gets to around the 10 pounds, I will start turning my heat down. Ever so close to the 10 pounds. Once that hits 10 pounds, our little jiggler over here, he'll start dancing around. Now he's only meant to dance around between 2 to 4 times a minute, but because of my gap burner, he will continuously jiggle around, because I will sit at around the 12 to 13 pounds. It's okay to be over your poundage, but definitely not under. If it comes under, you need to switch her off and start the whole process again, which could mean over-processed food. So keep an eye on it, don't walk away. If you need to go and hang out the washing, make sure you leave the door open so you can hear the jiggling. That is what it's supposed to do. But it's supposed to stop, which mine won't, because it's now hit the 10 pounds, and it's going to continue doing that. So it's a jiggle, then stop. And that's when you know, it's 2 to 4 times per minute, and you know that it's at the right poundage. So mine is still climbing a little bit further. I'm just going to let it climb above before I start turning the gas down. As you turn the gas down, you want to just do it slowly, If you drop that heat too quickly, it could drop below the pound you want, and it could also create siphoning out of your jars. Yes, we need to listen to that noise for the next 40 minutes. It looks like mine's going to sit at about the 12-pound mark today. Going to start the timer for 40 minutes. So I've turned this off and I'm just going to let it sit like that till the pressure comes down to 0. Do not take the weight off. If you let the pressure out too fast, all the liquid in your jars may siphon. So pressure's come down to 0. It's still really hot. Oh, it's hot, trust me. So I'm just going to take the weight off. Yep, so it definitely looks like there is no more pressure in there. So we're just going to carefully start undoing the top. So just going to undo the top. Remembering the whole thing is still really, really hot, the top of it, the handles. And open it away from you so that any steam that might still be coming out doesn't get on you. Side there. We're just going to let that sit there for a minute or two. Then we're going to just carefully lift out our jars. They'll still be bubbling because they're still really, really hot. And I'm just going to go and put them down where they're going to sit. Remember when you're lifting out these Vacola jars, because they've got the clips on top, don't disturb those clips. You disturb those clips and you will disturb the seal of the jar. So it's really bubbling away. And try not to tip them either. Once these are put in their place, they will not be moved until probably again tomorrow night, 12 to 24 hours. When I'll find out if they've actually sealed or not. Alright, so that's the first batch out. I'll just show you where I've got them sitting. Pretty much just out of the way, somewhere where they're not going to get knocked, where they're not going to get a cold or warm breeze on them as they cool down. You see they're bubbling away quite nicely still. So they'll be sitting there. Now, what I've been doing while that waited, because that took about half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour for the pressure to come down as well. So the whole time that particular batch have been cooking, I've been getting ready for the next. So I've done the chips, cut up just the size of chips we like. I've got more potatoes sitting here waiting to be cut up and put into jars. It's sitting in plain old water. And then over here, I have the next lot of jars that I'll be putting in a minute. Now I've got these, I do a little bit of a cheat because I'm cold packing. It's supposed to be cold water, but the can will take a long time to cool down. So I've cheated. I've put warm water, hot water in the jars onto the potatoes without cooking them, and I've got them sitting in a bucket of warm water so that when I put them back into the pressure canner, it's not going straight into, it's not a cold jar, is not going straight into warm hot water. So I cheat a bit. It's not recommended, but it is something that I do, especially when I'm doing more than one batch of potatoes. So I've got that 7 jars to go in there in a minute, and then I'm reckoning I'm going to have probably close to that again to go in for the next one, unless I decide that I'm going to dehydrate them, but we'll see. So alright, so that's that, guys. Any questions, leave me a comment.
If you look at it that way.